Best friends for the past 15 minutes. 15 minutes. For the past 15 years. I've been waiting 15 minutes for Taj, that's all. And because of our backgrounds that were diverse, but crossed over, because I haven't mentioned I was a lawyer in an hour, I thought it was time to bring that up. And Stu worked in advertising, marketing, and PR. And so, as a consequence, we felt that our skill sets melded together. And I've sponsored over a dozen I've produced over a dozen festivals. So thank you for those insightful questions. Now you know more about me than you ever wanted to.
Well,
I do have three delightful children, and at this time I would like to welcome up the blues legend who I saw at the Newport Folk Festival at the tender age of 10, 50 years ago. It tells you how old I am. He is back in the house. Let's give it up, let's stand up and give it up for Taj Mahal.
This is the Game of Thrones. Who are all these nice people?
Hello, everybody. We have a great Q&A ready for you tonight. Again, my name is Steve Knopper. I used to write for Rolling Stone. I currently write for Billboard. And it is my profound honor to introduce the gentleman to my left. His name, as you know, is Taj Mahal. He is from Springfield, Massachusetts. He moved to Los Angeles more than 50 years ago to form an incredible band, the Rising Suns. And since then, he has made numerous wonderful albums. Numerous, too many to count. I just want to mention a couple of my favorites, and we'll plunge into the Q&A. The Natural Blues in 1968, Like Never Before, 1991, Kulanjan with the West African artist Toumani Diabaté, I hope I pronounced all that right, from 1999. His latest album is a collaboration with Kev Mo called Taj Mo in 2017. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome the great Taj Mahal.
Thank you very much.
If you want to bust out in any songs, you have the equipment. I'm going to start by asking you, I did some research, and by conservative estimate, in the course of your career, I believe you have played 47 billion festivals. And this being a conference on festivals, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about how festivals changed since the first one you played, I think you said in the early 60s, and what kinds of festivals you like to play at.
What kinds of festivals and how festivals have changed. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to see you. The early festivals that we played at were like kind of very simple. Sometimes I remember playing the Philadelphia Folk Festival when there was probably like 300 people, you know, and just watched them grow over the years, and you know, deal with the local talent, and there really wasn't too much far afield, and I've watched them grow to the point where now you go to the Philadelphia Folk Festival, I don't know how many thousands of people are there, but they got two huge screens up there so you can see what's going on the stage, because in the old days you were close enough to be able to see. But most of it is that the simpler festivals that are about the music are really the ones I really like the best. There are some big festivals outside of the country that are big that I really like because they're in, like, you know, Roman amphitheaters that are from the 8th century. You know, I mean, it's like, wow, and the sound is incredible. You know, but most of all, the festivals have become inclusive. They might have started out with folk, and now they have all kinds of music. I think that the biggest thing, the biggest change is that they've been more inclusive with other types of music.
We were talking earlier, you were raised in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And then...
Born in Harlem and raised in Massachusetts.
Right. And then at a certain point, you moved to LA to be in the music business. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about why you made that move and what was different about the East Coast and the West Coast at that time.
Well, the East Coast, what's different about the East Coast and the West Coast? The East Coast is first of all, where the country started. And it's kind of cliquish, you know. And although I was a good kid coming into it, there just didn't seem to really be room for me. Although, later on when things started happening, everybody goes like, yeah, he used to be here, he did this, he did that. But at the time, when you try to make a living, they wouldn't open up no doors. But the East Coast is a lot tighter. It's a different kind. It's more traditional. You have another way of living. And the West Coast, when I came out, because I was in the music business, started playing music when I was 14. So I came out to California when I was about 25 or so. And it was very good. It was just a lot more happening out here on the West Coast. And this is where kind of like the whole 60s music movement, everything, well, here we go, let's go for it. Timothy Leary, the whole works. It just went crazy. And music was happening. And a lot of people were into playing blues and liking blues. And blues was being introduced to a new audience, through people like Paul Butterfield and, Siegel Swall Blues Band, the Blues Project, John Hammond, and then, of course, later on, the English bands, they came over and just thrashed it, And so it was an environment that was really good to be able to come out and play and hopefully make some records that would amount to something.
There was a point where you decided you didn't want to stay in LA anymore, and I think it was roughly 1971 when you chose to move here to San Francisco. Can you talk about why you did that?
Yeah, well, LA, after a period of time, the smog was really giving my eyes and my lungs a big problem. And if you're going to try to be singing and doing anything, you need to be somewhere where there was some really good air. Of course, air has changed up here, but back then, it was a good move. Plus, from across the country, LA was what LA was, but I always wanted to come to San Francisco. There seemed to be some magic up here in the Bay Area that I couldn't put my finger on. I know that every time it said San Francisco, it said, my itinerary said, the Avalon Ballroom. I was like ready to go. It said, yeah, I know. That's what it said. It said the Avalon Ballroom. I mean, ready. Family Dog on the Great Highway. And just the vibe. People left you alone. You could just hang out and do what you did. And play music. And there was a lot of good things going on. People really shared. People were really friendly. They were open. So I decided to, come up in this area because this was my first choice when I came to the West Coast. Actually, was to come to the Bay Area, but got down to LA. You get your foot tied up, and I stayed there. Then it was like after 5 years, no reason to stay there. Come on up here.
People who saw you in the early 70s in San Francisco often remember the tubas. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what prompted that creative decision to have those tubas with you in your bands at the time.
Well, my background, my dad was a classically trained Caribbean bebop, jazz, swing, jump, blues, stride, you name it, kind of piano player from back that time. And so I grew up around all that kind of music, being able to, recognize any piano player as, or a horn player or bass player or whatever, drummer even, all these different musicians, different bands. And so I was open to new ideas. And a friend of mine knew this tuba player named Howard Johnson. And she told Howard that if he wanted to do something new, maybe he should get in touch with me. So Howard just showed up at one of my gigs. I was playing, I think, at McDonald's on West 72nd Street. And I walked into the dressing room after I got off the step, from a set. The guy sitting there with a big horn, something about this high. And it looked like the shape of a baritone horn, but it was too big. And so I ventured to say, well, maybe I don't know maybe I'm missing what the size of a baritone horn. So I said, hey man, what kind of horn is that? Oh, tuba. My